Good afternoon, and welcome to Views with Joyce Vwjw. I want to thank you for joining us. I have an interesting guest and an interesting show for you today. You know, we always must think about what we eat, and I've heard it said so many times, you are what you eat. So we have to always be cautious about what we're eating and the nutritional value that comes from what we eat and how it affects our bodies. So Star Johnson is going to be talking with us today. She's become very much interested in nutrition and helping others. She created a business called Roster Roots. And there she's interested in healthy eating and affordable organic foods and how it makes a difference in your body, how your body functions, and how you feel. Welcome, Star.
Thank you, Senator Vwjw.
Star, you know, we've had people who've lived to be, it's not unusual, 100 years old. And often you'll ask them, what is the secret to longevity? Why'd you live so long? And many of them will say, it's related to what I eat.
Absolutely.
Is it?
I believe
that has
so.
A strong.
I believe that's a big part of it. I've also read studies where the longest living people, like for example in Japan, a large part of why they live so long is because they also have the community component to living, where everybody works harmoniously and lives together, but also the eating plays a large part of that, the healthy eating.
And when you think about that culture, many of the diseases that we have, they don't have. They didn't have for many years problems with obesity.
All right.
Until they started
getting our food, our restaurants over there. Absolutely.
And now they're having some of the same problems that we're having.
Yes.
And I was just reading some studies about controlling your blood pressure, and it says that you already know that cutting down on salt is a great idea for your blood pressure, and you may also know that the new 2015 U.S. dietary guidelines recommend that your sodium intake be between 2.3 milligrams a day, and that's equivalent to 8 of those little packages of salt. Well, that's a lot that you get at the restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that seems like a lot. It does.
Yeah.
It's nothing compared with what you eat when you go to restaurants or when you buy food in a can.
Correct.
And we're not even thinking about that.
Right. A lot of the prepackaged food has hundreds of milligrams of sodium, so way, way more than the recommended daily intake. Absolutely.
But that's what we had to do years ago, back in the day, when everybody had a smokehouse.
Oh, yes.
And you had country ham, and you cured. That was the way that you cured your meat.
Absolutely.
Salt. So you used a lot of salt back then, but we didn't think about it.
Right.
And people started having high blood pressure, and we didn't even know why.
Absolutely.
So with the Arista Star,
the Roster Roots.
Roster Roots.
Yes.
What did I call it? The wrong name. But
fine.
Roster Roots.
Yes.
You have a mobile truck that you go around to low income or impoverished neighborhoods, food deserts.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of work going on with providing access to those areas, but there's still a lot of pockets within those areas where they still do not have access to fresh, healthy foods. And that's what Roster Roots Affordable Organics aims to improve by serving those people in those communities and giving them the access to fresh fruits and vegetables, and actually giving them the opportunity to experience organic foods at an affordable price.
You're very ambitious.
Thank you.
How did back in the 40s, in low-income communities throughout the South, there was a disease called rickets, and people didn't know what was causing it, so they had to send nutritionalists and train people to go into the homes, knock on doors, meet them wherever they could see groups of people, to teach them what they were eating, how it was
Yes.
making a difference.
Yes, education is a large, and I think one of the biggest parts in learning to eat healthy, because if you don't know why, if you don't know the reason or what that healthy food can do to you, it's not gonna stick, and people will just fall back on other habits. So education is a large part of a healthy lifestyle.
Well, you can learn about it in schools.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn about it through wherever people congregate, churches.
Right.
That's a great avenue. So how do you get people to understand that this organic food is good for them? And how do you get them to stick with you when you go around in your business?
So I think a large part of it is providing the opportunity for people to taste test. There's a part, aside from education, also tasting the foods is important, so people know, what it tastes like, and also how they can implement those foods into their daily eating habits. So hopefully, when they taste our product, they enjoy it and will keep coming back.
Okay, so you let them taste and you let them see the difference. Because I'm looking here, this says eat this, which is some walnuts, and says do not eat this, and it's roasted, salted, mixed nuts on the other hand. So you let them taste both of these, and then they see the difference in it.
Right. And for us, what we've
Unless they're greedy to eat it up all.
Right, that's true. For us, what we've experienced is that a lot of people don't know the difference between organic and non-organic.
No, you
fruits
don't.
Right.
Can you taste? You know it within the taste?
Absolutely, it's definitely within the taste. A lot of times with non-organic produce, what I've experienced is that there is a lack of taste, and when you have the organic, it's fresher, it's sweeter, it tastes more like what it's supposed to taste like.
But you have to acquire your taste buds have to be
Yes,
conditioned.
reprogrammed, absolutely, yeah, to be able to palate what food is supposed to taste like, yes.
Well, that takes a while to educate people, doesn't it?
It does, and it's
where do you see these people? You knock on doors when they were working with getting rid of rickets, and they did. It helped, but it took a concentrated, long effort to meet people, but it worked.
Right.
It worked.
So I think,
And you never hear of that anywhere throughout the South now.
right. So I think a large part of Roster Roots Affordable Organics will be just being visible and being accessible in those communities. And I think that's the great part about being mobile, is that we can have that visibility, and people will recognize our van as we pull up, and hopefully become a staple in many communities in Charlotte.
It's been said that most small businesses, 70% of them will fold within the first 5 years. And I know that you have a great business model and that you've researched and everything that goes along with it. How do you prevent that from happening?
Well, the good thing about working with Roster Roots Affordable Organics is that people have to eat food. So I think with that, food will always be around. So I think that helps Roster Roots Affordable Organics stay prevalent in the discussion and also within the community.
Have you thought about ever becoming a franchise and expanding throughout the Southeast?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
franchises start someplace, don't they?
Yeah.
But how do you prevent other people from stealing your ideas? Because when you think about it, there's nothing really brand new under the sun.
Right.
But there are things that we put together in a different way, we market in a different way, we provide it to consumers in a different way, and so it makes it our own.
Right.
And then, of course, you have to patent it. Have you done that?
No, we have not patented.
Well, how are you going to keep somebody from taking your idea?
Well, that's okay if somebody takes our idea, because the idea is to provide these local communities with healthy food. So if somebody is providing that, that's okay. And I think there's a large enough area in here around North Carolina for many players at the table, especially if we're all aiming to do a good thing.
Because if you think about it and you look at the history of how many of the companies started, they started like you. The company that does peanut butter sandwiches and peanut butter crackers, they started small, going one community at a time. And then after a while, it was a large conglomerate corporation that emerged over years. So how do you envision yourself being in the next 5 years?
So within the next 5 years, I believe we do envision ourselves to be all throughout North Carolina as a staple and as, you know, as something that's recognizable, a recognizable brand within the state. And also expanding out of the state as well, maybe making our way to California, where I'm originally from. That would be awesome also. So.
California has a lot of fruits and vegetables. Do they have food deserts in California?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I believe Bakersfield, California was just named one of the most food insecure cities in the country.
Audience, we'll continue to talk with Star Johnson as we talk about organic foods that are very affordable and very healthy, and about the business that she started as she goes throughout communities, one community at a time, sharing with community people the importance of healthy eating and how important eating organic foods can be for your bodies. Now, Star, what happens to persons in communities when they don't eat organic? Did we do that back in the 50s and the 40s and the 60s?
Absolutely. Well, back then, during that time, a lot of people grew their own vegetables and fruits.
Was that
and
better?
Things.
They used pesticides, though.
Right. The pesticides was not so good, but I think that's something that people have come to learn. But I believe that as long as you're eating, you know, fruits and non-processed foods, it's good. Organic is best, though. That's just my philosophy.
But how do people, when they grow it, can they grow it organic? Everything that you grow is organic.
So when people grow it, they just need to make sure that their seeds are organic and not genetically modified.
Oh, well,
So
how would they know that?
It starts at the seed. It's just talking, just like you and I are talking. If they go to the store and they need to ask, you know, the person selling those seeds, or call that company to ask if their seeds are non-genetically modified. So that's the start. That's the root of it. And also, like you said, no pesticides. So naturally grown. There's lots of natural pesticides, marigolds, you know, pepper, lemon water, and those things are just natural pesticides that you can use also.
Now, for your business, Roster Roots.
Yes.
All of yours are organic.
Correct.
Everything that you provides to the community is organic.
Correct.
But do you grow it yourself, or do you observe it, or you have to rely on someone being honest with you? Because sometimes people are not honest.
Right.
They will sell you something, and they will tell you it's organic, and it's not.
So that's one of our goals in the future is to start our own organic garden, and we're actually probably be in discussion with a church next door to us and using some of their land and starting a garden that way. But currently, right now, we do have a local organic distributor that we utilize.
A local in Charlotte?
Yes.
Where the person grows organic vegetables?
And they provide it in a large distribution source, yes.
Okay. We also find that what they're saying, peanut butter with 1/2 cup blueberries, they said eat this, and says not this. Not this is peanut butter with blueberry jelly. I guess because the jelly has sugar.
Sugar, absolutely.
So when you don't eat sugar, you don't eat salt. You've changed your diet a lot, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely. My partner just removed a lot of sugar from her diet, and I know she's noticed a huge impact on the effects on her health, her weight, how she feels, and so it's the sugar and the salt is absolutely a big thing to remove or cut down.
You know, one time we had the home economists who worked in schools, and they would go in throughout the community to help families to learn how to eat better, how to do a lot of things in their home. Does that still exist?
I believe that that does still exist. I don't know how prevalent it is today, but from my knowledge, I believe that the people still are out there doing that. Yes.
So, what's the most expensive thing about starting your business? You had to get a truck, didn't you? You had to do several essentials before you could even start moving forward, go into even the first community.
That's correct. And we're still working out a lot of the kinks and learning as we go. But absolutely, there are expenses in starting.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
That people don't think about when they start a business.
Right.
They think you just start and you just move forward.
Right. There's the paperwork and getting approved and getting building business credit. So yeah, there is a lot that goes into it. And thankfully, I didn't have to do much. My partner did much on that side of it. So it's a partnership for real, definitely.
Okay, we're still talking about eat this and not that.
Okay.
You've seen items all in the course of your lifetime: low fat, low carb, low salt, Mediterranean, Scarsdale, vegetarian, vegan diet. The word diet gives you 471 million hits to choose from on Google.
Oh wow, it's a lot of hits.
Mm-hmm. From Atkins to Zone, there's no shortage of plans from which to choose, but study after study shows there's only one diet that works, and that is the one that you stick to. And that is difficult to do if you've ever eaten anything different.
Yes.
So as you think about the vegan, you're vegan.
Yes.
Were you always that way?
No, I was actually a vegetarian for about 18 years before I transitioned into becoming a vegan. So actually the last thing that I cut out of my diet was dairy and fish. And that was...
Is that why you go to the store now and you used to always see milk, whole milk, and you don't see that? You see coconut milk.
Yeah.
You see almond milk. You see bean milk, all the different kinds of milk. And they're not dairy. They taste different. They don't taste like the cow.
No.
So it's a whole lot of different kinds of milk rather than you see soy milk.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're actually the only animal species that drinks milk from another animal, which I find fascinating. Or we drink
humans.
cow's milk, right? Humans drinking cow's milk, like no other species does that.
What do the other species drink?
They drink their own milk. But a lot of people can't fathom the idea of putting breast milk in their Cheerios. So
is that what? Okay. So other species,
correct.
like a deer out in the forest,
will just drink deer milk.
Okay. An elephant, just elephant milk.
Correct.
They drink milk too?
Yeah. They're mammals. Yeah, so they still do drink milk when they're babies. Yes.
And we always drink cow milk.
That's correct.
Now, what's the difference between a vegan and a vegetarian?
So vegans do not eat any animal byproducts whatsoever. So no dairy, no honey, nothing that has to do with any processing of any type of animal product.
You can't eat honey if you go to a beehive?
No. And that's what, I mean, and plus, that's just like the definition of vegan. Of course, there are variations within that. There are some vegans that do eat honey, but vegetarians, on the other hand, will still do dairy and eggs. So that's the biggest difference.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Honest, we're talking with Star Johnson as we talk about eating organic, and that's the business that she started. And we're going to be hearing a lot about that in the future. As do you drive that mobile van?
Yes.
As she drives a mobile van around in the various communities. But we're going to pause for a moment, and when we pause, we're going to come back and share with you the difference it will make in your life, how you will feel when you start focusing on organic.
When you feel the world have turned you down, you feel like you haven't got a friend in the world, and you just go from town to town. I used to have a woman. She seemed to be faithful and true. I used to have a woman. She seemed so faithful and true. But when I lost all my money, I lost that no good woman too. Back to my hometown, gonna stick around with all my friends. Going back to my hometown, gonna stick around with all my friends. Well, I lost my woman and my money. I'll never make that same mistake again.
Artists, we'll continue to talk with Star Johnson as we talk about her new business, Rista Roots. Rista Roots started with the idea with herself and a partner, thinking about the community, thinking about healthy eating, and thinking about obesity in this community and how it's causing so many health problems. Why is it so much with obesity in this community and sometimes not in other communities, in rural communities?
So often what you'll find, especially in the African American communities, there is a greater influx of corner stores that don't offer nutrient dense or healthy food. And also it's become more of a cultural thing to not eat the best, which is unfortunate, but is one thing that Rasta Roots Affordable Organics is trying to change a culture, not just within the African American community, but the state of North Carolina in particular, to just make it a healthier state.
Now you're starting your operations here in Charlotte. Do we have food deserts in Charlotte?
There are a lot of food deserts in Charlotte. I don't have the exact number, but that's one reason why Healthy Corner Store Initiative is being implemented in Charlotte for those people that don't have access to full-service grocery stores.
And as when we call them food deserts, I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't have any food at all.
Correct. It does not mean that you don't have any food at all. It means you don't have access to fresh, healthy food, nutrient-dense food in most urban areas within a 1 mile radius from a home.
Now you hear all these ads about children not getting enough to eat, and on weekends many of the schools will work with nonprofit organizations that they will send food home on Fridays so that children can eat over the weekend when they're not in school. So if they're not getting enough to eat on weekends, well, what happens when it comes to nutrition?
So oftentimes it's just...
Is that true, in fact?
I believe it is true. And it's not just weekends, it's after school. It's during the summertime where kids don't have access to healthy foods and they revert to eating.
But still they're fat.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's one thing that Rasta Roots Affordable Organics is trying to change, trying to reverse that.
Okay. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And thank you for the great work that you're doing in the community.
Thank you.
And audience, thank you for being with us on Views with Joyce Waddell.